Hi, I'm Harley. So, surprise! Harley Sleepytime Cinema Selection. I watched a movie last night with Ivy and I really enjoyed it. It's called It Follows. It came out in 2014 and it stars a bunch of people you probably would not, I didn't recognize any of them from anything else, honestly. But it is a story about a bunch of teenagers who live in the same neighborhood. Three sisters, their best friend from childhood, and then the boy who lives across the street. One of the sisters goes on a date, well, several dates, and ends up sleeping with this guy. And after it's all over, he knocks her out, ties her to a wheelchair, and tells her that it's going to follow her. Literally, these are his words. It's going to follow you. It's not interested in me anymore because we slept together. Now it's going to follow you. She's like, what kind of crack are you smoking? You're crazy. So the story progresses from there, and basically the guy's not crazy. There is some sort of entity that is passed from, it's like a spiritual STD. Like you sleep with someone and then they get this thing following them. So it's how her and her sisters and her friends now deal with this entity that's going to follow them and try to kill them and whatnot. It was really surprisingly scary, and not like I don't know. It's more just like a creep factor than an outright like fear factor, if that makes sense. It's just creepy. The whole time, like there's certain movies, for example, The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2, those terrify me, like for real, terrify me. This one just gave me like with Conjuring, I will sit in my room and watch it in the dark, and I will be like covered in blankets because I'm scared, but also like dripping in sweat because I'm so scared, but I'm so hot, but I'm not going to uncover myself because that's how scared I am, even though I know it's a movie. With this, I didn't have any of that. Like it wasn't that type of movie, but it was one that I did find myself like, oh, that's odd. Like it there's just certain points where it's just like just creepy. There's not a better word. I'm sorry. If I had a thesaurus, and maybe if I had planned this better, I could figure out another word, but I don't have one. Creepy is my word. I'm going with it. I'm sticking to it. It's about an hour and 45 minutes long, and it's got some really interesting features. So after I watched it, I went and looked at its IMDb just to like get some more history on it and see if I could pick out any of the actors from anything else. But honestly, like I looked at a couple of their IMDb's, and they're really like the main girl, she's literally been in 3 movies. Her IMDb has 3 movies. So you're not going to recognize her from anything. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean it's bad or that she's bad, a bad actress. She did a really good job. But during the movie, at several points, Ivy turned to me and said, what time period is this supposed to be set in? Because it starts out with like the kids having cell phones, and there's a flip phone at one point. But then you go from that to, I don't even remember what they're called. Is it a console TV where it's like a cube? It's a cube of a TV. And it's actually one of those houses where the big cube TV has burnt out and they have the littler cube TV sitting on top of it because that's what you did then. Those damn things were so fucking heavy that you couldn't move them. It just lived in your house until the house burnt down and you used it as a table then. That's what it became. It became your TV stand for your next TV. And then there's like various cars, like there's modern cars, there's older cars, and it's kind of like willy-nilly. Like there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to it. Like it would make sense if the teenagers had the older cars because that's what they could afford, but that's not always the case. So when I was reading through the IMDb for this movie, what I discovered is they did that on purpose. They wanted to keep the time period sort of ambiguous so that it could feel like it could happen at any time. Also, another fun fact, they go through various stages of clothing, it's kind of like one of those things, like I turned to her and was like, where did they come up with these clothes? She just ran out of the house in her PJs and now she's fully clothed. Well, they did that on purpose too, because it's supposed to have sort of a dreamlike feel. And it's supposed to be able to also make it seem like it could happen at not just any time period, but any time of the year. Like there's no rhyme or reason to it. But they wanted to get you in the mindset that these people who are scared and terrified, they're sleep deprived, they're afraid, and they are, kind of trying to determine what is real, what is not real, and it's to convey that to the audience. So I thought it was done in a really neat way. I remember when this movie came out, it really intrigued me, but for whatever reason, I didn't sit down and watch it until just recently, just last night. But it was one of those things that it kind of popped up in my, you've watched this, you might watch this, you might want to watch this kind of movie. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember that now. So the title didn't exactly stand out to me, but once I watched the trailer for the movie again, then I knew exactly what it was. And I was like, oh yeah, I did really want to watch this. So why don't you go watch it? Let me know what you think. We'll talk about it and go from there. So, Harley Sleepytime Cinema. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll talk to you soon. Sorry I talk so fast.